Being the Amherst Township Trustees called to order, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Abraham?
Here.
Lynch?
Here.
Kish? Urick? Not present.
Yeah, and Chris, I did receive a message from David that he would not be here this evening.
Okay.
And if I could just mention one other thing, in the change in the agenda, we will have the Board of Zoning Appeals, since we have a candidate, Bruce Hills, today. If we can address that right after the minutes so that Mr. Hills can leave if he chooses to, or he can stay for the whole meeting. Okay?
All right. I have the May 11th Amherst Township meeting minutes. The meeting was called to order at 7:02 p.m. by Chairman Lynch with pledge to the flag. Roll call, Abraham, Lynch, and Urick were present. Kish was absent. Also in attendance was Case Marshall, Ashley, R. Cerrone, and G. Lynch. 5/121, a motion by Urick, seconded by Abraham. Move to approve the minutes of the April 27th, 2021 regular meeting as read. All ayes. 5/221, a motion by Urick, seconded by Abraham. Move to approve the bills and financial reports with reservations. All ayes. There were no audience concerns. Under correspondence, Trustee Lynch noted that at the next trustee meeting on May 25th, there will be a bid opening for South Dewey Road at 7:30 p.m. He also noted that a new candidate for the Board of Zoning Appeals, Bruce Hills, will be in attendance and that a motion will be prepared to appoint Mr. Hills to the BZA. Discussed email correspondence between Trustee Lynch and Bob Klaber concerning the possibility of the Lorraine County Engineer's Office taking over the responsibility for Oberlin Road and the proposed sandstone development Spleen Road. Trustee Lynch noted that the litigation between Amherst Consolidated Properties and Amherst Township Board of Zoning Appeals has been settled. The case is closed and has been signed off by Judge Rothgary. Trustee Lynch reviewed 7 potential infrastructure projects that will be presented to Rob Duncan for possible funding through the proposed federal infrastructure bill. This prioritized wish list is due to Lorraine County Community Development by May 15th. Trustee Urick suggested that additional general street lighting be added to the list. Under reports, under ambulance, the next Sandstone Joint Ambulance District Board meeting will be held on June 17th at 7 p.m. at the Amherst Fire Station. Sheriff Deputy Lawson sent out the latest sheriff's report via email for the trustees to review. Zoning, there were 6 permits issued and 2 new home constructions applied for bringing the year-to-date total to 3 new homes. There hasn't been any further correspondence with Bourne concerning his site plan. Fire prevention. The first quarter 2021 results were provided by Fire Chief Wilhelm. There were a total of 66 calls, which is about average. Under roads, park, and cemetery, continued ongoing mowing in the park and cemeteries. We received a couple of calls concerning the sale of cemetery lots. Witchco Electric completed the installation of LED lights in the garage. This project is being partially paid for with Nopec grant funds. The LED lights are a major improvement to the visibility in the shop. The old fixtures and fluorescent bulbs should be properly disposed of. A tree fell across the angle ditch on the north side of the old railroad. Met with Don Romanchik and Matt Arnold and determined that it is currently not backing up the water flow, but it will have to be monitored. If it becomes an issue, it will be taken care of right away. This is the section of the Batten House ditch that has not been cleaned. Under Senior Services and Township Administrator, the Health District grant is due by May 19th. We will be applying for playground equipment for the park. The Nopec event sponsorship for $1,500 is due June 30th. We need to get an estimate for the cubic/yard grinding. Payment will go to a third-party entity. Application for the Nopec Green Ribbon Award opens June 1st. This award is for up to $2,500 and can be used for projects completed between January 1st and May 31st of 2021. If successful in obtaining Nopec Green Ribbon grant, it will be used for the lighting improvement project that was just completed in the township garage. A May 21st settlement date has been set for the Hidden Valley litigation against Lorraine for the sanitary sewer and water rate issue. The hearing will be at 10 a.m. in the Justice Center in Elyria. Phase 2 stormwater permit. Discussed on April 26th letter from the Lorraine County Board of Commissioners concerning a ditch improvement project of the Batten House ditch, most of which is located in New Russia Township. Although the petition process does affect some Amherst Township residents, a viewing of the ditch will be held on May 17th. The first hearing will be held on June 15th at 9:30 a.m. at the office of the Board of Commissioners. The Levitt Road property maintenance, this is complaints. The Levitt Road property maintenance issue is ongoing. Rummy will look at the property tomorrow. Concerning the off-road vehicle operation complaint, this issue is enforced by the Sheriff's Department. Signatures are needed for the final settlement agreement pertaining to the Oberlin Road property maintenance issue. Under unfinished business, solid waste, Trustee Urick has not heard anything concerning the 2021 grants. New business, the trustees received a letter from Grant Thompson on behalf of the Lorraine County Metro Parks asking for support for their application for a Clean Ohio grant. The grant is for the purchase of 65 acres of land in Amherst Township to create a park. The property is currently owned by the Thompson family and was previously used as a sandstone quarry. 5321, motion by Lynch, seconded by Urick. Move to support Lorraine LCMP Clean Ohio Green Space Conservation Program Funds application for the Amherst Quarries project. Roll call, all ayes. The next regularly scheduled meeting will be held Tuesday, May 25th at 7 p.m. at the Amherst Township Hall. There were no work sessions scheduled. By 421, a motion by Urick, seconded by Abraham to adjourn at 8:15 p.m. Passed with all ayes.
Okay, are there any changes or corrections to the May 11th meeting minutes?
No, sir.
Okay, then I'll make a motion to approve the May 11th meeting minutes as presented.
I'll second it.
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
All right, thanks, Chris.
Sure.
Okay, as I indicated, we're going to make a slight adjustment here in the schedule, so I'm going to go through a couple of administrative changes with the Board of Zoning Appeals so that we can then get to the prepared resolution to appoint Mr. Bruce Hills as the second alternate to the Board of Zoning Appeals. So the first one is accepting the resignation of Terry Repp and appointing Rose Betchker as Terry's successor to the Board of Zoning Appeals. The reason that Terry's resigning is her and her husband Guy have purchased a new home in the city of Amherst, so since they're no longer in the township, she cannot serve on the board. So I'll just read this. Section 1, the trustees accept the resignation of BCA member Terry Repp. Ms. Rose Betchker of 6302 Balsam Drive, Amherst, Ohio, located in the unincorporated area of Amherst Township, shall be appointed as the successor to Mrs. Terry Repp, serving the remainder of Ms. Repp's BZA term, which expires on December 31st of 2023. If the trustees do not appoint a successor for Ms. Betchker at the end of her term, Ms. Betchker shall serve until a successor is appointed and qualified. The rest is boilerplate, so that'll be my motion.
And I will second that.
Thanks, Denny. And Georgianne will take care of updating the employee list and keeping the term straight. Any other discussion? All right, roll call, Chris.
Lynch?
Yes?
Abraham?
Yes.
And the number on that,
That
Chris?
is 5-6.
5-6. Okay, the next resolution is the appointment of Mr. Steve Osterlenke, moving him up from second alternate to first alternate on the Board of Zoning Appeals. And I'm not going to read through this, but essentially Steve is now taking Rose's position. So I'll just make the motion as it's pre-prepared here.
And I will second it.
Lynch?
Yes?
Abraham?
Yes.
5-7. Okay, and the next one to bring it to the floor is the consideration of the appointment of Mr. Bruce Hills as the second alternate to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Mr. Bruce Hills of 48291 Rice Road, Amherst, Ohio, located in the unincorporated area of Amherst Township, shall be appointed as the second alternate to the Amherst Township Board of Zoning Appeals. The term of his appointment shall begin immediately and shall then renew for 5-year periods beginning on January 1st, 2022, and shall continue until a replacement is named. Section 3, the BZA chairperson, if the BZA chairperson is aware of any possible absences of a BZA member for a meeting or public hearing, the chairperson shall attempt to contact the first alternate to take the place of the absent member. If the chairperson cannot contact the first alternate after a reasonable attempt, or if the first alternate cannot attend the subject meeting or public hearing, the second alternate shall be contacted, if the trustees have appointed such second alternate. Section 4, if upon opening a BZA meeting or public hearing, the chairperson notes the absence of a regular member and an alternate is present, the chairperson shall allow the alternate to take the place of the absent member. This action shall be recorded in the BZA minutes. Section 5, if after opening a BZA meeting or public hearing, a member withdraws from the voting, the member shall be considered to have temporarily absented himself or herself from the meeting. In such case, if an alternate is present, the chairperson shall allow the alternate to take the place of the absent member. Again, the action shall be recorded in the BZA minutes. Section 6, the BZA minutes should indicate the attendance or absence of an alternate commission member at all meetings and public hearings, regardless of whether the alternate is required to take the place of an absent member. Section 7, the BZA alternates may be compensated at the same rate as regular BZA members for all meetings and public hearings attended by the alternate, regardless of whether the alternate was required to take the place of a regular BZA member. To receive compensation, the alternate must submit satisfactory documentation to the Township Fiscal Officer of all meetings and public hearings attended. The rest is all boilerplate, so that'll be my motion.
I'll second it.
Lynch?
Chris, and before that,
Okay.
Bruce is here, and he's standing at the podium. And so, Bruce, there's only 2 of the trustees here this evening, so you might not get as many questions as you're prepared for, but maybe just tell the board a little bit about yourself, and David will be able to see this since this is all taped and then on the township's website and eventually on a YouTube channel.
Okay. Well, my name's Bruce Hills, Lorraine County resident my entire life. I grew up in Grafton Township, so I'm somewhat familiar with the goings-on in the townships. I worked for the township when I was going to school. I did everything from the dig the graves to plow snow, so I kind of know how important the township is to the community. I received my degree of civil engineering from Ohio State University. Worked for Nordson for 22 years in that role of engineer manager. I had my own business for 21 years, doing pretty much what I did for Nordson, but without Nordson. So that worked out quite well. And we've lived in the township with my wife and 2 children for about 26 years. So that's my history. If there's any questions now?
Have any questions?
No, I have no questions.
Okay.
I'm just thankful that you, with your experience, were willing to sit on our board. I
Well,
thank you for that.
It's my pleasure.
And I'm surprised, Bruce, you didn't mention, and I hope I'm not saying something you didn't want to say, but in the discussion I had with Bruce before he agreed to come forward is, did you want to discuss your father's experience with the township?
Well, my father was fire chief for 25 years on Grafton Township, and he was also on the zoning board of appeals for I don't know how many years, but so I've heard some of his stories from people that have come to the zoning board for variances and such. And our township, because we didn't really have a community, was the center of everything that we did. I mean, a township, the fire department was pretty key to our residential area, our rural area. And, you know, like I said, I knew all the on the board, the men on the Fire department, as well as the trustees over the years, so, of course, that was a lot of years ago, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure many of them are still here with us today, but, again, it's my pleasure to, I was thinking at some point to get involved with the township, but when you have your own business, you're kind of busy just trying to make a living, so it makes it more difficult. But I'm retired now, so I now have the time, and, it's my pleasure.
All right, thanks, Bruce. And Denny, just so you're aware, I know we didn't have any discussion before this, but I was really pleased. It was Bill Latrani that had mentioned, he had given us a list, which you
Right.
saw a list. In no particular order, I had contacted Bruce first, more just because I haven't known Bruce from Nordson. It wasn't anything particular to rise up, but I thought that might help in enticing and encouraging him to serve, because you know how difficult it is to get people to come on. It wasn't difficult at all. When I called Bruce, he was real positive right from the get-go, so
Well, that's good. I'm
it
glad.
was. And Bruce, I'm sure Georgianne's already given you some information. Chris Kish, our fiscal officer, will have to work on with you also, more for payroll stuff and timesheets and whatnot, and
We already
taxes.
talked about it, Eric.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So do you have any questions of us at all?
No, like I said, I'm somewhat familiar with the procedure. I don't know how much has changed in 40 years. I'm sure
Yeah.
some things have and some things haven't. So I guess we'll find out as we go along.
Right, and you'll get to know Remy Cerrone, our zoning inspector.
Okay.
You'll get to know the other BZA members. Generally, the BZA doesn't deal with our architect too much, but, you know, that may come up. And usually there are situations, unless there's a special situation with flammables or access, would be where our fire prevention officer, Chris Nyhart, here would get involved. But you'll have access to them, you'll have access to the prosecutor's office. The BZA does get into some contentious decisions at times, and when that happens, I know the last time they had that, they were concerned, they did not want to show any weakness or give people the wrong idea by having the sheriff's department there, but I know after that meeting, they wish they would have had the sheriff there. So Matt Lawson's our community policing officer, and usually you'll know ahead of time. You get a sense either by what's going on social media, or if, you know, people calling that, hey, this is going to be a sensitive subject. And sometimes having the sheriff there just, you know, keeps everything calm.
Yes, I'm sort of, like I said, I'm kind of familiar with from hearing stories from my father of things that
Yeah.
have gone on in our township out in Grafton. So,
Yes,
yeah, sometimes people think they can move to the country and do whatever they want, and there are restrictions, and just to keep everybody safe. So I think I understand that.
okay, well, good. Well, I'm going to say welcome aboard, even though we haven't finalized the resolution yet, but I don't sense there's going to be any objection here, but thank you very much. And you're free to stay for the whole meeting, but I just want to take care of this because we've also got a bid opening, and I didn't want you getting stuck here for an hour and a half, you know, for a lot of stuff you may or may not be interested in.
Okay.
Okay, but it's up to you.
Yeah.
All right, we got comfortable chairs out there. It's
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I would like to stay and just get a
Okay.
little better flavor for what's
Good.
what's going on.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, roll call?
What about
Oh,
my oath of office? When do
Yes.
you do that?
I do, but after let's go first, complete this. You can stay there then and do the oath. But Chris, if we can do roll call then on the resolution?
Lynch?
Yes?
Abraham?
Yes,
Okay, and Bruce just mentioned the oath of office. I didn't, Denny, there's not copies for everyone, but Bruce has one in front of him. And Bruce, since everything's there and filled out, instead of me saying it, you repeating it if you just want to read the oath of office.
Okay. I, Bruce Hills, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and will faithfully discharge the duties of the Board of Zoning Appeals of Amherst Township in Lorraine County, State of Ohio, during my continuance in office.
Thank you, we appreciate it. And then if you can sign that and give it to Chris, our fiscal officer, and the trustees will sign it later. You can use any witness, but we'll have the trustees. take care of that. Okay? And Chris, I'll let you tell us when you're ready to go.
I'm ready.
He's ready.
Okay, we're going to...
Nice to meet you, Bruce.
And Georgianne will get you contact information for everybody too, okay? And most of your contacts will usually come from the chairperson by way of email when there's a hearing to go on, okay? All right, Chris, we want to move back to the bills.
Sure. First, you have the credit cards for April. There wasn't that much on there. Just need your signatures and your approval.
Okay, you want to do the credit card first?
Yep.
There's only really two expenditures, the one for Spectrum and the other one for the government system. So I'll make a motion that the credit card account transaction detail has been reviewed per policy, and the card statement is accepted as presented, subject to investigation.
Second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Is the original in the green folder?
Yes.
Okay.
Then you also have in front of you the payment listing for the bills for this month. Nothing out of the ordinary. The largest payment is for Butchko for the lighting in the garage, but we will get reimbursed for most of that, hopefully, through the grant. We finally got our first quarter payments for our health plan, and I was informed that we will now be invoiced monthly versus quarterly.
Okay.
Our
It's
year-to-date
easier for us by cash flow anyway.
Yeah. Our year-to-date revenue is $695,569.30, and our year-to-date expenditures are $386,060.18.
And the only thing I want to say on the Butchko payment for the conversion of the lighting in the garage is Kevin, much thanks to you and Linda. I know Linda's not here, but where Chris mentioned about the hoping that most will be covered in grants, Denny, we talked about that green ribbon grant that we were made aware of the last time. Fortunately, Kevin worked with Butchko because there was a question if we could get the project done in time to meet that requirement. Fortunately, they were able to do that. Recall some of the fixtures arrived damaged, but they were able to get everything in place, and Linda got the grant all put together and submitted. So now it's just a matter of hearing if we get approved. We know part of it has already been approved on a different grant, but there's just some administrative work Linda will take care of. Now, that's a reimbursement grant, so we have to pay it first, then get reimbursed. But if we get the second grant, we'll get almost the whole project paid for with external funds, which would be nice. With that, I'll agree to pay the bills and approve the financial reports with reservation.
I'll second that motion.
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Okay, and just so everyone's aware, I'm watching the time because we have a 7:30 bid opening scheduled. Is there anybody here for the bid opening? Okay, and we'll keep it on time. All right, anything else there, Chris?
Not financials, no.
All right, at this time, I'd like to welcome everyone in attendance. Is there anyone here that has anything to bring before the trustees? Okay, we'll move on. All right, correspondence, Chris?
I just have a couple of items. Your mailboxes, I put in the certificate of the results of the election regarding the tax levy.
Okay.
The official certification came in, so I
You
made a copy.
You just did that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then also I got the renewal, your credit cards for Neil and for Linda. I mean, I'll give you these at the end of the meeting, but I need you to make a copy of the card once it's been authorized. and then return everything but the card back to me so I can put it in the file.
Okay,
That's all I got.
all right. Denny?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, I do have, there's a copy in your packet here from the Ohio Township Association. We've been talking about the American Rescue Plan funds, and if you recall, when that act went from the House to the Senate at the federal level, the definition got changed as to who was eligible for funds, which essentially cut out the townships in Ohio and several other states. The latest information we received, the Treasury did offer some new guidance. This was on actually just yesterday. And the new guidance now, they've come up with, essentially we are now considered, not only are we a non-entitlement community, we are a non-entitlement unit of local government. Now they're calling it NEU. And let me get the other definition here. A minor civil division, an MCD. And they've now put the burden on the state of Ohio to decide if the townships are eligible. My understanding, and this was discussed at the Lorraine County Township Association last Thursday, now this was coming from the prosecutor's office, that the federal government, since they set what the total amount of funding was available, they distributed it out to the states, and most of that was based on population. So the state of Ohio has the funding. Those communities that were 50,000 or over received their funding direct. There was some work they had to do through the Office of Budget Management just to receive the funding, but the state doesn't take a cut or reduce it or water it down anyway. There was a question, well then does the state just keep the other money and use it for state projects? Well now we have to wait till we hear from the state. There's some question that the OTA still doesn't know with this latest guidance from the Treasury. Is it going to be the way the CARES Act was handled, where a portion was handled by the Office of Budget Management and a portion was handled by action by the legislatures? Is it all going to be the Office of Budget Management? So we're not 100% certain yet who's making that decision, but we'll just have to wait and see what the state decides. So basically the ball's been passed over, handed off to the state to make a decision. So hopefully we'll hear something soon. We know that the OTA gives us a correspondence generally every Friday on the roundup of what's going on at the state level, so maybe we'll get an answer before that. Last Thursday, we did have Senator Nathan Manning, Representatives Gail Manning and Dick Stein present because it was a roundhouse discussion with our state rep, so obviously this was a big point of discussion. So we'll wait and see where that is. They also don't have what the total amount is going to be, but we know the Treasury didn't give a new update, but the original update from the Treasury was between $1.2 and $1.5 million, which is actually more than, if it goes to the high one, could exceed what we receive on an annual basis here at the township. Okay. All right, with that, it's 7:30, so we're going to temporarily move from the regular meeting to go to the bid opening. And before we do that, sir, did you just bring a bid in then? And who are you with?
NES Corporation.
Is NES on our list here? Yep, they're down there, number 10. Okay. All right, Chris, if you can start with the bid opening and call out who the bid's from and what the amount is.
Okey-dokey. Erie Blacktop.
Okay, that's number 5 on our list. And did you have a copy of the bid sheet?
No.
Can we get a copy for him, Kevin, so he can write down? I'm sure he's interested in what the competition has. And it's front and back.
$100,990.30.
Can you read
What's
that
that?
again?
$100,990.30.
100,000. What was that again?
$100,990.30.
Okay, so $100,990.30.
Yes, sir.
We'll go back to that when Kevin gets here so they can record it on their bid tabulation sheet.
Pardon?
When Kevin gets back, we'll repeat that so that the
Yes.
gentleman from NES and Kevin can record it on their bid tabulation sheet.
Okay.
All right, Kevin, Chris opened the first one, which is number 5 on the list, Erie Blacktop. It's $100,990.30.
Okay. Number 2 is Crossroads, which is number 4. And it is $91,334.25.
The last three again? 91,000?
$334.25.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chris, who was that?
This is Crossroads, number 4. Precision Paving, number 6 on your list. $87,087,
87?
$335.
No sense.
No cents.
87,335.
NES Corp. Is number 10.
What was that? NES Corp?
Yep, number 10. $100,439.20.
$439 and
$439.20.
20.
Carvo Companies,
Arvo.
number 8. $94,000.15.
94,000
Yep.
and 15 cents.
From Chagrin Valley Paving, number 2 on the list. is $89,435.75.
89,435.75.
Correct. Mosley? Roniak?
Run
Number 7.
Their bid is $101,
100 and
$101,398.
$101,398.
Correct.
That's all your bids?
That is it.
So we didn't get one from Eclipse then? All right, thanks, Chris. And,
No.
yeah, they just pulled a bid package but didn't submit one then. Okay, and Kevin, you'll get those over to the county engineer, and just for you, so that's what'll happen. All these will go to the county engineer. They're gonna review that everything's in compliance with the specification. Then the county engineer will recommend to the trustees, you know, that they met the specification. Typically, if they meet the specification, we're gonna go with the lowest bid. Okay, that meets it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. Oh, Precision Paving is our lowest bid.
Right. And most of these organizations we've had some experience with. There's a couple new ones there.
Precision Paving, we've had experience with them.
It's nice to get that many.
Precision did the Middle Ridge project that we did with the city, and then all the way to Quarry Road in 17, I believe it was.
My memory's not that good. There's.
Yeah, right.
All right, thanks, Kevin.
Thank you for your time on that, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Okay, we'll move back to the correspondence. I had a couple of other items there. I don't recall, I did complete the infrastructure project list that we had at the last meeting. I don't recall, did I email that out afterwards? I can tell you that there was only one change, and that was, if you recall, Trustee Uhrig discussed about lighting in general, and we had some conversation on that. You know, since these had to be infrastructure projects that fit within the group, so the way I had listed that was, and they had to fit the categories between transportation, water, sewer, and let's see, there was a fourth, broadband. Those were the four infrastructure categories we had to fit. So I put under, there was also, I'm sorry, there was a fifth one, clean energy. I know that for the infrastructure projects, since this is all being tied to the federal dollars, a lot of their clean energy is related to the vehicles and setting up the infrastructure along the highway system for charging stations. So I put under transportation and clean energy, number 8's what I added with the subtitle, the convert street lighting to higher efficiency. So if I didn't send this to you, Denny, we can get a copy later, but it was convert the street lighting to high efficiency LED fixtures and add energy efficient light fixtures and areas for safety improvement. Then relocate the street light at the intersection of Middle Ridge and the northernmost portion of Overland Road to align with the relocated intersection, assuming that fits both the transportation and clean energy categories. that were listed for the infrastructure. We didn't list anything for broadband because, as far as I know, everybody's covered with service here in Amherst Township. That was one I neglected to ask because there's also, the state has now offered some funding for broadband through Ohio. But I'm not sure if we have any dark spots in Lorraine County yet anymore. We may. I intended on asking that, but there was just, the state legislatures had given so much of their time that evening, I didn't want to just get something dragged out on them, especially if they may not know the answer, since each one of them represents only a portion of Lorraine County, other than Senator Manning, who has the whole county in addition to Huron County. But anyway, that's there, so if you want a copy, you can get it, but the only one I changed was the one on lighting, since that came up at the meeting. We've already talked the American Rescue, so that's all I had for correspondence and announcements. We'll move on to reports. Ambulance, Denny?
We have a meeting on June 17th, I believe. I'm just restating that for everybody's awareness. That'll be at the Amherst Fire Station at 7 p.m. That's June 17th.
Okay. Thanks, Denny. All right, sheriffs, Deputy Lawson?
Well, good evening. How's everyone doing tonight?
We're doing good. It's nice to see you. It's been a while.
I know, it's been too long. It's been too long, so I'm happy to be back. So, we are currently working with the off-road vehicle situation. What I'm going to do, what I've done is that I have increased personal patrol on there. I'm going to send an email to our law enforcement division and just noting, hey, if you're in the area, drive through. If you see anything reckless, stop the individual and just educate them on what the law says. And then obviously if any enforcement action has to be taken, then we'll take it. We've also received some complaints on Rosedale for speeding. Working on getting our speed detection unit on that road. So essentially what that would do is that would notify not only the individuals driving through what the speed limit is, but it would also indicate when they're driving too fast. It's just another way we can get something out there to say, hey, you need to slow down. Other than that, on the report, I saw that there were a few incidents where cars have been entered in Hidden Valley. That's something that we had a lot, not terribly long ago. It subsided, so it's definitely on my radar. Looking at some of the individuals we've dealt with that incident in the past, and seeing whether or not they're back in the area or what's going on. So.
Well, thanks, Matt. And just so you're aware, all the elected officials were copied on the prosecutor's response on the off-road vehicles, as you were too, and I appreciate you getting down there and also talking with the resident that sent in the complaint. You might have seen your packet. Maybe it's just catch-up. The original complaint came through our website, but then that gentleman followed it up with a handwritten complaint,
Yes.
which was just picked up today. But I can assure you that from the township standpoint, we'd already emailed him to let him know that the trustees don't have enforcement. It has to go through the sheriff's department, so the appropriate organization of contact is the sheriff's department.
Yes.
So he is aware of that, but I appreciate that you're going to talk with him on that.
Absolutely.
And as far as the speed trailer, I'm not sure, has the sheriff department upgraded theirs to the one where it actually keeps the data now, so it can see how much vehicle traffic's come through, what the speed limits are, who's within, who's without, who's adjusted? Because I know the one we had before, all it did was display what you were doing. So
As far as the specifics go on what the unit keeps track of, I don't have the answer to that.
Okay.
I can find out. I do know we do have a new unit. This is a new unit. That's something we had recently acquired. So yeah, I'll absolutely find that out.
If you could, I'm going to suspect it has, because that's been an upgrade. I know the old one, I remember when it was out of service for a while too, because we had tried to get it located in the township and we were told it was out of service.
Yeah.
They've had that for some time.
Oh yeah.
And so the original one, it just displayed it. It was there, no data collected. You know, because that'll at least give us some response back as far as what the real issue is. And if nothing else, you'll see our people actually slowing down. I know some people claim, oh, they put that up and people challenge themselves to see how high they can get. I don't know if that's
Sometimes.
true or not,
Yeah,
but if data's collected, we'll know.
absolutely.
Okay. Any questions for Matt?
No, I do not.
All right, thanks, Matt.
Thank you so much,
We'll hear
everyone.
back from you the next time we see you.
Absolutely.
All right,
Have a wonderful
thanks.
evening.
Take care, Matt.
Okay, zoning, Remy?
We got 11 permits for the month so far. In the early part of the month, we had 2 new houses, which brings our total for 3 for the year to date. Everything is, all the complaints are going along pretty smoothly, taking them one at a time. And that's pretty much it.
Remy, I have a question relative to the new development that we have going in on Oberlin Road, north of Middle Ridge. Where is that at? I understand that they had some weeding and stuff like that, weeds growing there, and but where is, have you had any communication with them?
Yes, I did. Basically, it was the tall grass in the front there. They let it go for quite a while there, so we had a brush hog come in and clean that up. But as far as a start date, from what I'm hearing, it's going to be around this autumn is when they're going to start putting the road in.
August?
Yeah, not August, autumn, in the fall.
In the fall?
Yeah. He didn't specify as to a date, but he's done some drilling there, boreholes to see what the condition of the soil is. So, from my understanding, that's what they're trying to do is get the road in this fall.
Yeah, and that may be delayed, Denny, as you're aware, they originally wanted to start this last year, but it was getting the sewer agreement with the city of Lorraine done. And I was at the ditch viewing on May 17th, and Jack Hoyt was there from the Russia Township and one of the road people, and he had asked me about the sewer agreement. He said they received it, and they were inclined to sign it. They didn't understand why they were signing it, because they really,
They didn't need to.
yeah, other than the portion in the airport, they don't have any sewers
Right.
serving anyone down there, so they didn't see any risk in signing it. They were just a question as to why they're signing it. And they were counseled, just as we were, that the
You can't hear
ORC
me?
doesn't require it.
You can't hear me?
There,
Can you
yeah.
hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, but in any case, New Russia Township was gonna sign it, and that'd be the final that they needed to officially say the sewers, you know, are available to that development. My last, let's see, the last contact I had was with John Evanson, who is in partners with Tom Oster, and more from the standpoint because Bob Kleiber initiated that correspondence about the road standards that the different townships have. And, you know, obviously John is a proponent, hey, your standard's probably tighter than it needs to be. What they usually want to do is test the soil first, do a roll test, see if it's required or not. And I pretty much told John at that time I thought they were ready to go as soon as the sewer agreement's all buttoned up. And I told him, I said, John, the trustees aren't going to be able to react quick enough. Plus, even with my background, I'm hesitant to change a standard
Right.
that's been there for
Right.
a long time, because that standard was put in place because of issues we have with current road construction. We certainly would listen to what our engineer has to say, what ODOT has to say. I had suggested in a meeting with the county that even if they feel those are impartial, to get some of the instructors from the local civil engineering colleges no offense to Ohio State, Bruce, but they're farther away. But with Case and Cleveland State both turning out, many civil engineers locally, that perhaps they could give some guidance. But I'd let them know we're not going to be able to meet their time constraints, so just hit the standard, which they didn't have an issue with. They just see that, sometimes they're upsetting soil they don't need to upset, and obviously there's some additional cost for them to put that in, versus test it first, see if it's necessary.
Okay, so you were on site with them being Evanston and,
No,
Yeah.
I was on site for the ditch viewing that impacts New Russia Township and Amherst Township.
okay.
That discussion brought up the sewer agreement,
All
which
right,
is what
all
this
right.
development was waiting on.
Okay,
And so that's going to be done, but a different meeting with the county is, I had mentioned to John Evanson,
Right.
We can't give you an answer on that quick. That's going to take some time, and, we'd have a reluctance to change standards. That's going to require more meetings and an
Right.
understanding of this. So the best thing is just meet it on this development. Since they've got that larger development, we
Right.
might consider it there, but that gives us more time. And keep in mind with that development, the main thoroughfare, we're still working with the county engineer, and it does appear in the discussions I've had with Bob Kleiber, and I shared that correspondence at the last meeting, that we may be able to get a change in responsibility between Overland Road and also that Spline Road. The
Okay.
remaining road mileage would still be the townships, and as far as what standard, they're required to meet, our current standards in place, unless the township decides to change something, which we're not going to change unless there's a real compelling reason that it's an improvement.
Okay, thank you very much.
It was about 3 weeks ago, they had a boring machine on the property, and they were doing test boreholes.
So that was 3 weeks
That's
ago.
3 weeks ago, so that tells me they're moving forward.
Okay, but they did do the cleanup.
Yes,
And,
they did a beautiful job.
Okay, good. I'll have to ride by and take a look at it tonight if I get
That
out
grass
of
was
here.
3 foot tall.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Remy. I
Thanks,
appreciate
Remy.
your time.
Okay, we'll move on. Fire Prevention Officer Chris Nyhart.
No report.
All right, thank you. Okay, Roads, Parks, and Cemetery, Superintendent Smarsh.
With the cemeteries, we have them mowed up for the beginning of this week, but we will hit them up again on Friday, so they're good to go for Monday, the holiday weekend. With the park, we're just on to the mowing and trimming process with there, but there was I received a couple of phone calls concerning the portable toilets that are there. And then I contacted Bca Sanitation, which is the portable toilets down there. And speaking with them, I ended up bumping it up to twice a week service for June, July, and August.
Good. Yeah, it's getting a lot of usage, isn't it? Yeah.
Right. There was the talk, I kind of questioned it, wondering if we added one to it, what the difference would be, and still with once a week, you'd have 3 dirty toilets, so we'll go with the once a week service with the units we have. I'll monitor it, make sure we stay golden there. If we needed to add another one to it because it got crazy for June, July, and August, then we'll see what happens from there.
Okay.
At least we bumped it up for the next couple of months when it's being
Thank you.
busy. Now, moving on to roads, we had a storm sewer repair on Trails End. There's a 36-inch storm sewer that goes through there, and I don't know if it was caused from install, but the bell was cracked. It's to the top of the bell. It's 4 feet deep on this 36-inch storm sewer, and it just started taking on water, which then would take on the dirt, undermined it a little bit of a driveway and right on the edge of the road. But we got that patched up and backfilled and compacted back. So that'd be good to go, but we'll definitely keep my eyes on that. I possibly might get a camera and camera that whole complete sewer, but as far as I can see down, it's pretty straight, and it's clean, it's real clean. But hopefully it was just one particular spot there that finally gave way.
If it's a 36-inch one, it's going to, on Trails End, that's going to be one of the ones the kids were walking through,
Okay.
just
yeah.
so you're aware.
Yeah. Well, there's that, at the end of Trails End in Moss Canyon, then there's the 48-inch.
Yeah.
So they were probably cruising around through there with the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, they
Okay,
take
so.
their flashlights.
Yeah. We did a round of roadside mowing and ditch cleaning. The mini grant is in for the Lorraine County Stormwater. Linda and I had that all put together, obviously, with your notification and all that. That it was all turned in, and I don't know, we'll hear.
Right, we'll hear. Hopefully we're the first, but.
Yeah, hopefully. It was kind of a whole different situation this year.
Yes.
You know, because of the meeting wasn't happening and whatnot.
Right, all because of COVID, everything was delayed and different, and changeover and commissioners, so yeah, there were a whole bunch of changes.
So, well, we'll just keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully that works out. But typical maintenance is going on, and then the grant work that Linda was working on, I was working with her with the yard waste to try and see
Right.
if we can't get that. That's all underway, getting turned in. But other than that, everything seems to be going along pretty good.
Any questions for Kevin?
No, I have no questions.
All right, thanks, and yeah, the roadside mowing looks nice, I mean, you guys,
Yeah,
a
it was
lot to mow
thick.
before the holiday.
It was thick.
Yeah, and the yard waste grant he's referring to, Denny, that's the one to tie it in with the Nopec community grant there.
Right. Which we have to vote on yet, right?
That one, we're okay on, we've already voted on that. We'll be voting on the one he mentioned, the mini grant we'll
The
be
mini
voting
grant,
on tonight.
right.
And we'll do that under stormwater. As far as the Lorco report, I really have no need to give any more detail on
No.
the Lorco report. We'll move on to then the Phase 2 MS4, which deals with the EPA requirements for making sure we have clean stormwater. We've actually got 2 grants we're applying for here. The first one is actually, we've received the grants, the authorization to bid. And let me just, before we bring this to the floor, we received approval for a Phase 3 on the Engle Ditch in 2020. Then we received the approval from Lorraine County Stormwater District for Phase 4. And when the county engineer put the package together, and we were aware of this, he discussed it ahead of time, because we were trying to get the bid package for Phase 3. I think it was because he was so busy with too many other projects, it just kept getting put off, and now we got approval for Phase 4. He said, hey, let's bid this all as one, because with the economy of scale, we'll end up getting some savings here. Albeit, you know, it'll also be one contractor versus coordinating potentially 2 different contractors at the same time. So Pete Zawick from the county engineer's office did do that, And you've got, let's see if I think I have it in the packet here. Maybe. Looking for a spreadsheet. Contractors, yeah, there's several spreadsheets in here. Nope, I didn't include that one. I've got that one at home. I guess that's, oh, here it is. It's on the back. Okay, the project with the initial estimates from the county engineer would be at $234,000 when we applied for the grants between the two. One being $154,500, the other $180,000, so $234,500. Once we were awarded our grant application, now the engineer sat down and did some real detailed work, some very detailed work on that particular project, and it did bring the cost down. It is now from $234,500. It'll the current estimate for just putting this project together is $205,450. Some of the biggest change is the mobilization that you have going in there between, had there been two different phases. But Pete, also in putting that together, it's actually got a single name. It's called the Angle Ditch Restoration Phase 3. So what we've got to keep straight, and I've got it all explained going through this resolution, which in all the whereases is 2 pages to explain all the changing and the phases of this project. Because Kevin, this has even happened before your time. We can only bite this off a little piece at a time because the township obviously doesn't have the financial depth to do this as one large project. So that's how we've been moving this on down. But the good news is that the detailed estimate is almost $30,000 less than the estimates when we applied for the grants. So now the next thing is, and what this resolution is doing, is authorizing the bid, is what bids we receive. So with that, this resolution is an authorization to bid the Lorraine County Stormwater District Angle Ditch Restoration, and that should be Phase 3 project. I see a mistake in the title. I'll get you an updated electronic version, Chris.
Okay.
I'm going to go right to Section 1. Amherst Township Trustee Dennis Abraham is assigned project, you heard your name, right? Is assigned project management responsibility for the Angle Ditch Restoration Phase 3 project as specified in the scope of work documentation provided by Lorraine County Engineer. The project shall be funded with the support from Lorraine County Stormwater District in the amount of $197,000 as indicated in the Memorandum of Understanding between Lorraine County Stormwater District and Amherst Township. As project manager, Trustee Abraham shall be responsible for bidding, communicating project updates to all elected officials and the public, shall coordinate schedules and interaction between various professional services and various contractors that may be awarded project work based upon the bid, shall ensure project documentation is maintained, and shall be authorized to approve any change order of $5,000 or less, provided the total of all change orders does not exceed the total estimated project construction cost by more than 10%. The Amherst Township Chairperson, trustee assigned responsibilities for stormwater management, or Trustee Abraham is authorized to sign any documentation required by the contractors and or Lorraine County Stormwater District relative to the project specified in Section 1. Section 3, the Amherst Township Fiscal Officer is directed to pay for the Angle Ditch Restoration Phase 3 project as specified in the respective memorandums. The rest is just boilerplate, so that'll be my motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, and Chris, just one other thing, even that catch-all in Section 2 was because we still haven't received the one memorandum of understanding. which was originally the Phase 4 application, which will now be part of the Phase 3. But when we do receive that, this authorizes, you know, Denny can sign it, I can sign it. Did I catch Kevin in that too? Well, I did not, Kevin, so you're gonna have to rely on one of us to sign that MOU when it comes in, because it will require signature and return to the county. Okay? All
I'll be
right,
available.
all right,
Lynch?
ready? Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
The number on that, Chris?
511.
511. Put a reminder here, I've got to send you. Okay, the next one is authorization of application for Lorraine County Stormwater District mini grant financial assistance for the catch basin repair and erosion and sediment abatement. And this is the one Kevin referred to earlier. Since one of the requirements of this grant, one of the evaluation criteria is also the speed of getting this in, this was announced at the Lorraine County Township Association that this grant was now available. So I did go up to Don Romankek at the end of that meeting because I received no notice on it. And he wasn't sure if it was announced through Facebook, on their webpage. I could assure him it wasn't by email because as soon as he announced it, I was checking my phone and there was no email. So we did look at it. And all we could see was the old 2020 application. It may have been a misprint just like I had on that resolution, but Don did assure us, go ahead and use that, just change the date, which Linda did. And so we had her send that in, so this is a cleanup that was just sent in today, and this will follow up now with a formal resolution authorizing that. Kevin and Linda worked together. If you look in this, you'll actually see the nice photos of the defective catch basins that are on there, and hopefully we get funded. The only change, originally there was discussion a month prior to last Thursday that be prepared, this grant is coming, and that there may be some changes in the amount that you could apply for. The only change was the total amount of funding available was increased from $10,000 to $25,000, which $5,000 per any one specific project being the max. So essentially you could do up to 5 projects throughout the county if each one was awarded the max, and some may take smaller amounts. But in any case, I'm not going to read through the details here, but we are applying for $5,000 in funding here, with the total project being $7,270 to replace these 3 catch basins down in the valley right now. So I'll make this motion as it's prepared.
I'll second it.
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes. That is
512.
And the last item dealing with stormwater, and I think you heard it in the meeting, the ditch viewing that was held on May 17th, it's a tributary for the Batten House ditch that runs through New Russia Township and Amherst Township. He didn't actually call it a tributary. He's got a different technical name. Bruce would probably know. He's a civil engineer. I don't, let's see if, he called it lateral number 2. I would call it a tributary, but he called it lateral. Basically, it's a more minor ditch flowing into the Batten House ditch. The real issue is some of the residents down there in New Russia Township on their side were getting flooded and having mosquito issues and the whole bit through their properties. They believe some of it is because of the Lorraine County Airport. The county leases that land out for agricultural use on some of them, and they are aware that the individual that's currently farming it put a lot of new tile in it, and they thought, oh, that's bringing more water to them. Don't know if that's the case or not, but they will look at that, they being the county engineer. But it seems like the solution they want to do is to redo that ditch if they can, which will send the water faster to Amherst Township, obviously. And as everyone here is aware, is the township, after the angle is completed, this has always been a long-term plan, as we've worked with our engineer, was get the angle ditch first and keep working our way downstream, which will be the Batten House ditch that converges with the angle ditch. And we've done a portion of the Batten House ditch going just north of the tracks here, the Lakeshore Railway. But that hearing is scheduled for June 15th. It's currently scheduled at 9:30 a.m. I know that all 3 county commissioners were at the ditch viewing on May 17th, and there was some discussion about moving that public hearing to the evening. And I told them, well, you might be able to do an additional one. I don't know how you can move it when you've already sent out a correspondence informing people you've got it in the morning. And I recall a previous ditch hearing, which impacted some of our residents on Bechtel, towards the south end of Bechtel a few years back. They actually did have 2 hearings, one in the morning, one in the evening, because obviously it's tough for many property owners to get there because they work during the day, and this way you'd at least catch people, give them the opportunity to participate in the public hearing. But as it stands right now, till we hear anything further, the public hearing for that lateral number 2 to the Batten House ditch will be on June 15th at 9:30 a.m. on the 4th floor of the Lorraine County Administration Building.
June 15th, that's a Tuesday.
June 15th.
And that was, what was the time again?
9:30 a.m. And we'll just have to watch, Denny, they may open one up for the evening also. And that's it for stormwater. So we'll move on to the complaints. You know what, Remy? I must not have saved the one because I did cross the one off for that fence violation. I remember deleting it from the agenda, but I must not have saved it. Then went back and did some undoing or whatever because it's back on there, but that M2 will come off.
Okay.
The third one, Mr. Ruffner with the off-road vehicles, I left that on just so that we can close it. I'm going to close it from the township standpoint, but Community Policing Officer Lawson's already indicated he's going to have direct conversation with Mr. Ruffner, which is what I had indicated to Deputy Lawson in the email, just to touch base with Mr. Ruffner since he's taken the time to formally bring this complaint forward. You've also got in your packet, and I'll cover it in the order that's here, we don't always address anonymous complaints. We usually like people to stand up so that there can be, one, it adds credibility to their complaint, and it gives the trustees or officials involved in it the opportunity to have a direct contact. but this individual, our township administrator, Linda Ashley, does know who the individual is. They showed up personally, but they were just concerned with retaliation. I don't know the details, because I don't know who the person is, but they've given a complaint, a property maintenance complaint, for a property on Levitt Road. Remy's aware of this, and Remy, do you want to address this one?
Yeah, got the complaint at 7545 Levitt Road. Went out and checked it out, and by the time I got there, it had already been mowed. And also, the complaintee had called me and told me that there were people out there mowing it. I don't know how, it must have been coincidence or something. But anyway, I went out to look at it, and the property does look presentable.
Okay, so I can just go ahead and close that one.
You can close that one off, yes.
Okay, and then the other new one was down on Deepwood. This is one that's at 323 Deepwood. Remy, do you want to deal with that? Because this is another property maintenance,
Right.
both with lawn mowing and junk around the yard
Yeah.
and abandoned vehicles.
Went there to take a look at that property, and the lawn is very high. There's a couple of pieces of equipment laying on the side of the house. There's also a jet ski that has been sitting there for quite a number of years. So I posted it, that it's a hazard there, and looked it up and found out that there are taxes due on the house. So I'm gonna keep going forward on this and see if I can't get a hold of the homeowner himself and let him know, see if he can do something about it. And if I can't, then we'll have to take a little more drastic action.
The homeowner, or if,
Or the bank.
whether it's
or-
the bank, if there's even a mortgage on it anymore, or the county, because we know
Yeah.
with the taxes not being paid, the county's got an interest, and we're required to notify any lien holder.
Usually if the bank owns it, there's usually some kind of documentation on the front door, and there wasn't any, so kind of leads me to believe that it might be in the throes of foreclosure or something is going on.
Okay, so Denny, you've heard that Remy's already posted this, but just to formalize this, and Chris, since this complaint's just come in and Remy's already gone out and looked at it, we don't have a formal motion prepared, but we have to post it and give 7 days to the property owner and any lien holder the opportunity to remedy the situation before we can take action. But so we don't have to wait for another meeting 2 weeks from now or hold a special meeting, is I'm going to make a motion in compliance with Ohio Revised Code, Section 505.87. I'll let you catch up.
I'm not anywhere near there.
Okay. You tell me when you're ready.
Okay, wait. Motion by compliance.
Or as authorized by Ohio Revised Code.
Okay.
505.87.
He's ready.
That zoning inspector Remy Cerrone shall take all actions necessary to ensure the removal of debris, vegetation, and any other hazard at 323 Deepwood Lane in Amherst Township. tell me when you're ready and then read it back to us.
Motion by Lynch, I'm sorry, it hasn't been, as authorized by ORC 505.87, that zoning inspector Remy Cerrone shall take all actions necessary to ensure the removal of debris, vegetation, and other hazards at 323 Deepwood Lane in Amherst Township.
All right, that's my motion.
I'll second it.
Lynch,
Yes,
Abraham,
Yes.
you got a number for that, Chris?
513.
513. And Remy, can you also contact the complainant so they know what you're doing, that it's, you know, because this is going to take time. You've got to wait a minimum of 7 days. Plus, you've got to try and contact any lien holder, you know.
I will.
And you can check with the prosecutor's office. I know in the past, Tom Mangan told us that posting was enough. Let's make sure that the current prosecutor still agrees with all that,
Okay,
okay? All right, thank you.
you're welcome.
The last complaint I'm not going to worry about. I think this is just a timing thing, Denny, where this just came in today from Mr. Ruffner. But you've got the formal complaint now versus the one that came through the webpage, which was also formal. Okay, that is all the business we have to cover. I know Kevin wants a executive session for personnel issues. So with that, for all the other items that have responsibility assigned to various elected officials, are there any other items that need to be brought up, Denny?
No, not as far as I know.
And since David's not here, I know at the last meeting, he didn't know what the solid waste grant funding would be for this year, since that hadn't been put out yet. Chris, I didn't write anything down. I was hoping that correspondence went to David. It probably hasn't yet. Okay.
I don't think they've.
They'll
that was
decide
just-
tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay, the Board of Commissioners will be making a decision on that at tomorrow's Board of Commissioners meeting. So on the May 26th Board of Commissioners meeting. And those are on the web on their YouTube channel if someone's so inclined to watch the whole meeting. So, and,
They are switching to evening meetings, by the way, starting.
Pardon?
They are switching to evening meetings starting
For-
June 2nd.
starting June 2nd?
I believe that's a Wednesday.
What
What
was
time?
that, Chris?
The county commissioners will be now holding their meetings in the evening.
In the evening,
You know what-
rather than in the morning?
It's been tried before, but they're going to try it again.
But it's going to be at the county administration building, 'cause in the past, when they did it in the evenings, they also rotated around the county, so you had
Right.
to keep track where they were. I think they used to call it the show on the road. So, and it was kind of nice, because I know it was tough for me when I was working full-time. You'd have to take a day off work, using up vacation day or something, to attend a meeting, or usually they were public hearings we were interested in. And it'd really get frustrating when you show up and they decide to continue the meeting or delay the meeting for some reason. You can't undo your vacation day.
Right.
Did they say what time those would be?
6 o'clock.
And that's in June.
June 2nd.
Well, that's the day that COVID-19 hits.
Yes, restrictions are gone.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if there's no other business, I just want to announce that our next regular meeting will be on Tuesday, June 8th. Kevin, any need for a work session between now and our next meeting? Okay, if not, you know how to get a hold of me and we can set up a meeting. Any other audience concerns or comments? Okay, then we do have a need for an executive session, and I'll get you the right section. Chris, this is for personnel. So this will be per ORC section 121.22G. Bear with me.
3? 1, I mean. 1.
I'm waiting for the train, too. Okay, 121.22G, where is it here? Oh, it's in here. G1, to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, and you've got all the rest there for a public employee or official.
Yep.
Okay, so that'll be my motion.
I'll second it.
Let us know when you're ready.
He's ready.
Okay, roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lynch.
Yes.
Abraham.
Yes.
Okay, I make a motion that we return from executive session to the regular meeting at 8:43 PM.
I'll second that.
Lynch,
Yes.
Abraham.
Yes.
Ready, Chris?
I am.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion to appoint Rex Remington, a former township employee, as a road laborer for up to 24 hours a week at $14 an hour, beginning on a date acceptable to the fiscal officer and road superintendent.
That complete your motion?
That's my motion.
I will second that.
Ready for roll call?
Yep.
Lynch,
Yes.
Abraham.
Yes.
And that number, Chris?
It's 516.
516?
516, yes.
Okay, is there any other business? All right, then I'll make a motion to adjourn at 8:44 PM.
I will second that motion.
Lynch,
Yes.
Abraham.
Yes.